Hello and welcome. Today I have a review of another product from Ripper Blades. This is the Ripper Blades Black Blade V3. Now, a little bit about the Black Blade. The Black Blade was Ripper Blades' flagship model as far as I'm aware. They started out with the idea of how do we make the Black Blade. And so the first idea that they came up with was just a flat piece of acrylic with etching in that acrylic around the outside and lightning in the middle so that it would shine through, so the light would diffuse at the lightning and around the edge, and you'd just be able to see through it in the middle. Over the years, this has been through a few iterations. This is the V3, as I mentioned, and this one has a black coat on it, so that even when the saber is turned off, it gives the illusion of a black blade. Okay. Now, it's not a solid black. It's sort of a smoky black, so you can notice if you look at my hand, you can still sort of see the outline of my hand through the blade here. So it's not completely opaque or even mostly opaque, it's just sort of smoky, and it's darker down here than it is up towards the tip to help the light diffuse a little bit better. So the V3, what we have is we have that black finish. We have a nice high polish on the blade itself as opposed to the sort of rough finish that diffused a lot more that they used to have. The lightning goes all the way through the edge to the blade edge to the very edge of the saber, which has a little bit of grind on it so that it diffuses out here. All right, so just a little bit here. You can see the edge and the lightning. There we go, and that little diffusion along the top edge. All right, so a pretty nice designed blade. It's designed to look like the dark saber from Clone Wars and from Rebels. The one that Darth Maul, Pre Vizsla, and later Sabine Wren used. So it looks pretty much exactly like that blade, so kudos on that. I have it here with a dark sai from Kaizen Sabers, which is designed to look like the dark saber itself, and this is a pretty high-end saber. I've reviewed this separately. But the reason I have it with this blade is that Ripper Blades and Kaizen Saber actually partnered together to make this combo. When Kaizen came out with this, they went to Ripper Blades, and they said, we'd like a blade that's going to match it. And so Ripper Blades put together their black blade and sort of custom fit it to the Kaizen Saber. Now, the difference is, if you've got a Kaizen Saber, you tell them that you have a Kaizen Saber when you order this blade, and they'll fit it to the Kaizen Saber. What that involves is, you see this angled emitter here? The Kaizen Saber has a pretty shallow emitter, and it has this angle at the top. So what ends up happening is when they fit it to this, the blade plug that connects the blade to the saber hilt itself, they angle cut that and they make it the right size to fit in here so that it shows up flush like it's supposed to. If you don't have one of these, this is one of their stock models, and you can order it to fit on pretty much anything. The standard stock model will fit on an Ultra Saber, a Saber Forge, Vader's Vault, Kyber Light, anything that takes a 1-inch standard blade socket. But just a slight difference if you're dealing specifically with this saber hilt. Now, a couple things about the design. Let me go ahead and turn this on again. Alright, so a few things that you just saw there. I started off with this in white, which is really the way that this is designed to operate. And then I switched it over into blue and red. And you can see that in blue and red, you still get the effect of the lightning diffusing the light and the black blocking the light, so that you have the shape of the blade glowing with lightning pattern inside, which is exactly what they were going for. With white, it looks a lot brighter, it looks a lot better. The black doesn't eat quite as much of it. The problem is that if you're using a blend white, which is basically the same white that you're going to get out of any sort of tri-crease setup or any red-green-blue setup, like Vader's Vault sells, you are going to end up with color unmixing with a blade like this. What that means is that in the LED unit, because of where the LEDs sit, You saw that when I had my hand over here, if I kept it back of the blade, it was purple. If I put it in front of the blade, it was green. That's because the Tricree on this specific setup has the red and the blue LED over here, the green LED over here. And the blade going right down the middle, it'll catch all of it, and it'll turn the blade white. But on this side, it's slightly green, and on this side, it's slightly purple. So what that means is that you're going to get sort of a rainbow effect depending on the viewing angle. So if you want this to be just solid white without that sort of rainbow effect, if you're looking for the rainbow effect, then great. But if you want this to be solid white, you need to use a saber that is running specifically a white LED as opposed to a blend. Because with this and with any of the flat blades, if you're dealing with blend colors, it's going to be different depending on where on the blade you are and which direction the blade is turned. Same thing holds true with a purple. If I were to do a purple on this, I'd find that on one side I'd have red, on the other side I'd have blue. Let me see if I can show you on the table here in front of me that color I'm mixing real quick. I've got to turn it back to white first.
For generations, my ancestors fought proudly as warriors against the Jedi.
Alright, so we have red up top, blue, green, and you can see it sort of separated by the blade. But the blade in the middle is white. A little bit yellowish on this side, a little bit pinkish on this side. Alright, one last thing in terms of handling. The black blade from Ripper Blades has very little wind resistance. So in terms of handling, if you're going to be using this for spinning, it's a flat blade, so you don't want to use it for full contact or dueling. But if you're going to be using this for spinning and you're not going to drop it, or you're pretty confident that you're not going to drop it, this one with its less wind resistance, it's a fairly shorter model. It's pretty light. So unlike some of the big models like the Excalibur or wide models like the Spartan, this one is much more like the Needle in terms of spinning. It doesn't wobble too much because it's very light. It doesn't have a lot of wind resistance even if you're going flat, so very usable in terms of demo and performance. So here it is, Black V3 blade from Ripper Blades. Hopefully this has been of use. If it has, join me back for more reviews.